It's fair to say that few things have done more to destroy esports than match fixing. Whether it's Savior, Solo, or those MDL scrubs taking refuge in Riot's cheap cartoony-ass Counter-Strike knockoff, competitive gaming is riddled with cheats. Throwers, whose quest for personal gain has put even the healthiest of scenes in peril. Unfortunately, once you've compromised the competitive integrity of your esport, that's pretty much it. You're branded with a shame that people will never let you live down.
Like real CS, you put one person D-steps, maybe two.
I should probably watch some more of your demos and stuff, learn how to get some real nice skins and stuff.
Yeah. I might learn how to win.
Yeah, man, we gonna release you from the team, man. Your contract is over. We the new iBUYPOWER.
See you, bad.
Later. That's good. Now I can just play another one.
And whether these disgraced stars go the route of apology, subdued apathy, or volatile aggression, all of them have at some point given up on seeking redemption. Well, all of them except for this idiot.
Stop. Hang up the phone, Timmy. What the man on the phone wants you to do is something called match fixing. Don't do what he says.
I present unto thee Joshua Steele Nissan, one of the smartest, saltiest, and most stubbornly loyal savants CSGO has ever seen. Unfortunately, after participating in the infamous North American match-fixing scandal of 2015, he also became its most maligned.
I have a major f***ing title under my belt still.
True,
what do you have?
True,
you have
true.
some skins from f***ing betting, bruh.
And yet, in spite of being handed an indefinite ban from participating in any Valve-sponsored events, he never gave up on himself, even when it looked like everyone else had.
I never felt like I fully scratched that itch, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, because I think I'm still capable. I still have that itch, and it's the game that I started in, and it's the game that got me into this in the first place,
So why is it that Steele never stopped grinding? How has he managed to redeem himself, and in what sense did his Counter-Strike career finally get the ending it deserved? And is there even more to come?
Yes, I have it. Yeah, I don't have A. I did 80 damage. They're both... Okay, I don't know. Why can't I hit this guy? He just slid, man. He's on his... He's like... And then he's like... moonwalking away like Michael Jackson, man.
Okay, so if you've never heard of Steele, you've A, never taken the time to learn your smokes, B, aren't familiar with literally the biggest scandal in CSGO history, and C, you don't get as much pleasure as I do from binging some good old Rank S Rage compilations. That shit gives me life.
Do it again. I'm about to die, guys.
I fucking shot this game!
2 mid. I'm dead.
Back to see.
You see, Steele is a true Counter-Strike OG. After making a name for himself in Source, he brought his wares to Global Offensive, where he developed a reputation for two things. In an esport where mechanics were usually prioritized over mind games, Steele stood out for his savviness and game sense. The dude had a massive IQ, and it stood out in a region typically known for being pea-brained. He was a mastermind whom people looked to for advice, even if he could be a little harsh when delivering it.
Don't tell me you're gonna go in without smoking out CT or Heaven. And you're just all gonna push in through main here. No one's gonna go into checker and clear it. Smoke. Thank fucking God! Now you... No, your teammate should not be jumping up there. You just smoked off forklift. You can cross into the bomb site safely. You should be crossing into the bomb site safely. Your teammate's about to get banged out by this guy in CT spawn. Am I right? Oh my J-Stone. You're lucky this guy blows. You need to go to the gym. This front bum is nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of.
Now, if those clips don't make it obvious already, Steel is known for having an abrasive personality. He's an authoritarian who always thinks he knows better, since, for the most part, he probably does.
Guys, I'm saying what to do. Please just do it.
So when things don't go as planned, he can get a bit, well, temperamental.
He's up cat already! God f***ing damn it!
But for better or for worse, that's who Steel was. A jackass, but a genius. Even those who didn't particularly care for his whiny, explosive outbursts couldn't help but respect the fact that he had a mind for the game. And as the in-game leader of the recently successful iBUYPOWER lineup, was helping to put North American Counter-Strike on the map.
And iBUYPOWER are going to have to hold on. It's going to be very difficult as the smoke's surely not to deter them. The flashes go in and the push comes. LDLC losing 2 people to AZK and Swag. AZK with another one. Oh, he gets another. AZK with 3. Happy though. Going to be able to take down 1. It's a 1-on-2. Happy.
I think this is it.
He's got to save it for his team, and there it is! iBUYPOWER take it! They're going to go through. They eliminate LDLC in an insane semi-final.
As much as I love hating iBUYPOWER, you can't be too angry. They're showing America. They're putting America back on the map. They're showing that we can play with the best.
And then, as you probably know, in August of 2014, he threw it all away.
He's going to have 2 right there. Can they line up for him? What is he doing? Why did he hesitate so much? Doesn't matter. Has the CZ. Gets 1. Gets taken down. Hayes was so very low. They lined up perfectly for him, but for some reason... Oh, he says he wanted the knife.
Bullshit!
That's right. Despite supposedly being galaxy-brained, Steel made the profoundly stupid decision, alongside a few of his teammates, to throw an official match for skins. And of course, when Valve found out, they were fucked. Steel and his co-conspirators were banned from competing in any Valve-affiliated events, including the majors. For how long, you ask? Well, that's the thing. Valve didn't specify. At first, it seemed as if the ban might be lifted in a year or so, and that the shame that they'd have to live down would be short-lived.
When it first happened, it was like, oh, this is indefinite. So we never knew what indefinite meant. It meant like, you know, maybe there's an appeal process, maybe in a year they'll change the ruling, whatever.
But as time went on, and with Valve remaining radio silent, it became increasingly clear that their ban was likely to last forever. As was the shame.
You need to burn. I don't give a fuck about him, and I don't give a fuck about Steel either. That guy, he can be the friendliest guy, and he can be the biggest troll piece of shit he wants on stream, but that guy also can burn, because they fucking knew. So, no mercy.
Needless to say, this took a huge toll on Steel. The public already thought of him as something of a toxic asshat, and given the damage he'd done to North American CS, a good portion of the community was happy to watch him and the rest of iBUYPOWER burn.
Beyond just shooting somebody on the stage, I think taking a dive for money is the worst thing that you can do inside of competition. I believe there should be a permanent, non-reversible ban from any kind of competition for people who do that, for match fixing.
What started as a reprimand became an all-consuming curse, a mark that couldn't be erased.
Like, this is a stain on my life. This affects me like everywhere I go.
So, understandably, he began to look elsewhere. Overwatch, PUBG, anything that could prove a suitable substitute for CSGO. But for a diehard like Steel, it just wasn't the same.
When I tried playing Overwatch, for example, I kind of did it not because I really enjoyed the game. I did it because I didn't really have any other options that I wanted to compete, and it was like close enough. It was like the only FPS that was close enough to Counter-Strike, but it was still so super far. It's like more of a MOBA than it is, you know, whatever Counter-Strike is.
In spite of his perceived betrayal, Steel was a dude who'd given his heart and soul to Counter-Strike. He really, truly loved the game, and was willing to do whatever it took to not only compete in it, but redeem himself in the eyes of those he disappointed. And to his credit, against every odd, every expectation, he did just that. From streams to demo reviews to a sea of educational YouTube content, Steel set out to rebuild his reputation. To leave the Counter-Strike community better off than he'd found it, in the hope that Valve would take notice and, well, pity. He even took the time to educate viewers about mental health, how to create the perfect Tinder profile, and even poked fun at his own plight in a PSA warning against the perils of match fixing.
Don't do what he says.
But in the end, it didn't matter what Steel did. Valve refused to budge. Even as third-party tournament organizers began lifting the iBUYPOWER players' bans, claiming they'd served their time, Valve's major ban remained intact. In spite of his incredible mind for the game, Steel spent years spearheading lesser rosters to subpar results.
One by one they've fallen. AZK remains, and dead to rights he is. AGO, eliminating Torque, the first to fall in tours.
And despite his age, the notoriety surrounding him, and the finality of his ban, Steel refused to call it quits. He didn't coach or fall into the comfy embrace of full-time streaming. He wanted to win. So he went out and found an org that felt he was still worth believing in. Chaos.
I play for Chaos, and sometimes I wish I didn't. It's mainly just a joke, because our results are so bad.
With Chaos, it felt as if Steel hadn't just found a group of young, hungry fraggers whom he could mentor, but this kind of weird, dysfunctional family. A goofy, grassroots underdog who understood that nowadays you don't need a major sticker to be successful at CSGO. They also understood that in order to get that sticker, they'd need to work for it, but not without having some fun along the way.
That is one ugly human.
Oh, there we go.
Oh god, the nose is getting bigger somehow. Hey. Who's that guy?
But right as Chaos were on the brink of becoming a genuinely good team, a new opportunity presented itself to Steel.
미안해서 어쩌나?
Valorant presented a second chance for Steel, his exiled former iBUYPOWER teammates, and just about anyone else who had grown disillusioned with CSGO. And while jumping ship to an unknown and unproven challenger definitely posed considerable risk, it also offered Steel the competition and fresh start that he desperately wanted. But as appealing as Valorant was to Steel, he had unfinished business with Counter-Strike. He'd set out to do something special with Chaos, and as he told ESPN Esports, he intended to see it through.
For me to switch at that point in time when the game first came out would be very risky for me because I wouldn't know what to expect, and I feel like I hadn't really done what I set out to do with Chaos.
And beautifully enough, he did.
5-on-2 standing between them and getting a very clean 2-0. Bentek goes down as well, and that's going to be it. Chaos wins 16-6.
And now they know where you are. Leaf creeping up, looking for his triple. He gets it. 16-3. What a final map from Chaos.
Liaz and Azza then. Make it just Liaz. Steel's got a necessary frag. Chaos have done it. They've done it in 3, and they've done it in style.
In what is presumably the last competitive CSGO match he will ever play, Steel achieved arguably his best tournament result to date, helping Chaos secure a top 4 finish at ESL 1 Cologne, North America. And with that achievement, Chaos eked their way into the top 20 rankings of Counter-Strike, meaning that their sweet, steely prince could finally put his CSGO career to rest.
Now that I'm, getting the team to a level where it's like we're top 20 in the world in CS, and I can be happy with that, and I can kind of pass them off like, okay, you guys are in like a pretty good situation that you're nestled in at the moment. Top 20, you're an EPL, you're going to get invites to other tournaments. There's another player available that you can get now. Let's make this transition as seamless as possible.
In the weeks following Chaos's Cologne finish, it was announced that Steel would be leaving CSGO to join 100 Thieves' Valorant roster. Needless to say, the community was extremely sad to see Steel go. He'd long since lived down his disgrace, and the consensus was that he'd finally joined the Tier 1 org of which he'd always been worthy. Something he reflected upon with the Immortal Minds podcast.
When I was like actually considering, you know, what possibilities are there for Valorant, and also the fact that eventually down the line I'll probably be, you know, replaced by my team in Counter-Strike, and then, you know, what happens when I get replaced? I'm going to rebuild again for the how manyth time? I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather just go and start fresh in Valorant where I don't have to have these artificial ceilings.
It isn't clear what kind of results are in store for Steel, or if Valorant will finally afford him the opportunity to scratch that competitive itch once and for all. What is clear is that in addition to derailing his life, Steel's fateful decision to match fix strangely gave him everything he ever asked for. In the end, Steel did redeem himself as both a competitor and content creator. He just ended up taking a much more difficult path to getting there than he would have liked.
You know, I started realizing like, okay, like there's some things in my life that need to change. There's some like ways I look at life and look at this and how, you know, I'm living and everything that needs to change. And slowly over time, I started like doing things to kind of be better. I don't know whether or not I'd be where I am today in terms of like personal maturity or outlook or how I see life, you know, had I not been punished for my actions. So I don't know, like maybe there is like a moral of the story at the end of it.
In spite of all the hate and hardship, Steel did finally get the happy ending he deserved. Not by closing his eyes and willing it into existence, but by taking action. By owning up to his mistakes, making reparations, and remaining the steeliest son of a bitch CSGO has ever seen.
He's dropped.
One down.
Already. Oh, it's ready.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Oh my god.
How fucking happy are you that we get to go back to some good old Steel rage clips? Are you as happy as I am? It's like all reliable.
Hey, shot it.
Fuck him! It's so good. He has a whininess that I just love. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain like, what are you doing? Why? Oh, it's the best, dude. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good.